Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Blood and Plunder here as we work our way through the remaining and final of the Spanish commanders, and that is one of the biggest heavy hitters here for the Spanish as well, and just in the game in general. And we previously covered his faction, but Juan Corso is one of the best or top tier commanders out there. Certainly expensive, clocking in at over 30 points. He's got his own special force, right? The Juan Corso's Corsairs, but could also be fielded in the just sort of vanilla Spanish Corsairs or the Guarda Costa. So you got three different force options for him there. Has the brace of pistols and standard melee weapon, massive 16-inch command range, and the always nice 3 command points. So we're going to get tons of value out of that. And that will cover a lot of the field, especially if we're playing on land, but ideally he's quite heavily geared towards fighting on the water, but I mean, he's pretty good regardless. So with that, let's just go through his bucket of rules here, because he has a lot of special rules that he has access to. Commodore, we've seen that a lot with many of the commanders here, so but also makes sense that he would have this here. So basically, when he's aboard a ship, the command range is increased by 12 when giving orders, or actions rather, to units on other ships, and again, that's going to cover pretty much all the relevant real estate that we need to. And he's one of his other special rules is geared towards fielding smaller ships, so ideally we're playing a slightly larger game where we're going to have multiple ships to take advantage of that as well. So then he's got Elan, which we haven't seen too often, but it's a neat little ability. So basically he can use a command point on any other unit within his command range, again, massive command range, while his unit is engaged in melee. So normally commanders would be too busy, fighting for their lives in melee, but he's so cool, and in fact that he actually can do orders outside of his own unit while they're fighting hand to hand. So pretty potent stuff there. So he's always going to be helping out the force at large. Now he's got Resilient. We've seen that a couple times, but basically he gets a -1 bonus. The force gets a -1 bonus to strike tests. So if things are not going as well and we're to the point where we're forced to take a strike test, we got that bonus to that to stay in the game a little bit longer. Also has Ruthless, which is kind of a go-to for a lot of commanders, but especially in the Spanish. Basically a -1 shoot test, but also in melee. With basically when you're fighting against a unit or shooting against a unit that has more fatigue than you. So if we plan our turns out correctly, ideally, and activations, we want to have his unit ideally engage with, whether again shooting or combat, a unit that already has more fatigue. If we can do that, and maybe through creative use of orders or actions with the command points, but just to get that extra bonus, anytime we can apply that bonus, it helps, right? If we can get 1 or 2 more extra hits, ideally that leads to more enemy casualties, and we're starting to wipe them off the board, and hopefully leading towards victory. So very, very potent ability, and with the multiple command points, and ideally keeping close to other units, we can set that up so that other units can maybe shoot or do something out of sequence to put some fatigue on our target, and or maybe spend one of those command points to rally us so that we have less fatigue than what we're going to be fighting against, and then again get that to activate. Got Surprise at Sea, which we haven't seen much, and that's kind of where that was going earlier with the sort of ambushing and smaller ships, but or also fielding multiple ships. So only works in a scenario where there is a sea force and no ships on his side with size 2 or larger, and there's islands or shorelines on the table that aren't within 15 inches of another ship. So a couple of caveats there. But the ships in this force may deploy an ambush, and they're basically placed anywhere within 3 of an island, ideally not setting ourselves up to be grounded or anything, and then you do that after all the opposing ships have been deployed, and again can't be closer to 15 inches than a scenario objective as well on top of that. So several restrictions there, but neat in the sense that we can force the opponent to deploy in our sort of sneak attack and go from there. And then finally, as if he didn't have enough rules for this guy, he's got essentially a 3-in-1. He's got 3 different flavors of vendetta, and basically kind of hates just about everybody. So he's got a vendetta against the English, the French, and the Dutch. And what that means is when we're fighting against a force of the listed nations, they may reroll 1 failed rally die in any rally test. So that helps out. It's almost like giving him kind of like an inspiring, which is kind of surprising that he doesn't have that, although he'd probably cost that many more points if he had inspiring or very inspiring. So a little bit conspicuous that is absent from him, since so many commanders have that. But again, when we're dealing with the English, French, and Dutch, which are most of the remaining major nations, we have that ability. So, and that'll go well with the command points that we have to spend. So all in all, he is a fantastic commander. Now the debate would be, do we feel that he's best in his own custom force, the regular Corsairs, or the Guarda Costas? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll have more commanders soon as we work our way back through the other nations, and then wrapping up the ones that we hadn't covered yet. But let us know your thoughts on Juan Corso and where you feel he's best and most effective at. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.